Community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super video here with Kyle Chris, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile for a very particular type of Cell Surge deck that I find to be very fun. I think in certain metas this leader obviously can be good, but also I feel in certain metas this type of deck here can work. Maybe some swap out of certain cards depending on what seems to be a little better, but I wanted to just kind of share my findings and see what you guys think of it. It's a very fun deck. By no means top tier. Definitely not a top 0 deck. It's definitely kind of in the middle there. Maybe a tier 3 deck, tier 2 maybe. Certain matchups, this deck can absolutely demolish people. The idea of this deck is to basically stop your opponent from getting advantage at any point in the game, and then you capitalize off of that by playing cards on your opponent's turn. So we'll get into the deck video here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. As always, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, hit the notification bell as well. Obviously, you can see my face here, so it's a little bit different for these because I got my new camera. So I'm trying to put my new camera into as many videos as I possibly can. So yeah, we'll get into the actual deck profile here. So we have Cell Surge. Now, Cell Surge came out in set 9, part of the amazing forgotten the forgotten Surge leaders of the past, because the only one that people really know now is the Invoker leader, because the two best ones got banned, and then this guy was kind of left over as one of the 3 stepchilds that weren't the stepchildren that were not Invoker. So but this card is actually very good. So he is a activate main, search top 5, add a card, and then discard a card. So these can be any card, any single card, does not matter what it is. And because it doesn't have a parentheses around it, you do not have to reveal this card to your opponent. So you can basically add any card you want and then discard any card that you want. That's how you draw. So even if you go first, it's actually a very good card to go. This is very, very, very good deck to go first with, because your opponent, because you get to just play an energy and then draw. So even on your first turn, you get to draw an energy. Draw a card, which is obviously very, very good. Now, you awaken by surging. So you put a green and a yellow card underneath him, flip, and when you have four life, you can activate one of his abilities. So the first one, you can. What's the first? I know what they are. I just don't know which one's first. Gotcha. So first one is you can remove a card, surge, and then every battle card your opponent plays next turn, or until the end of your opponent's next turn, gets played in rest mode. So that's very interesting, because then any card that they play just automatically comes into rest mode. So it's like a crusher ball for the entire turn. And then the other one is you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, and then you get to choose a card in your opponent's hand and put it in the drop area. So you get a little bit of hand destruction in there as well. So we'll go over what I have for the deck list itself. So first thing is going to be, we do run green-yellow, so it's going to be a green-yellow check land. This is obviously you want to be your turn 1 play, or just any green-yellow will be your turn 1 play, since you can still draw off of it. And then the next turn, then you can charge another one or charge whatever. Primarily, we're going to be charging multicolor and then yellow energy. No green. No mono green, I should say. So our combo engine, and what I mean by combo is going to be cards that we play on our opponent's turn respectively. So we have Android 15 here. We have 4 Champa the Tricksters and 4 Vegeta the Cruels. So these are the cards that we are going to be playing on our opponent's turn. So Android 15 is a 1-drop combo. When you combo this card, after you combo this card, play this card in rest mode. And then if it's your opponent's turn, take 1 or 2 life. Now, if you play this on your turn, you can combo with this, and this card can come into play, and then you don't have to use the bottom effect. But when you combo it on your opponent's turn, you have to take either 1 or 2 life, and then you get to restand a green energy. So you get to restand your multicolor because it is considered green. So that is very, very helpful. Now, because we're playing multicolor, we can play 2 of the best cards that came out of the set 7, and also these cards were extremely relevant for all of the multicolor listings, which is Champa and Vegeta. So both of these cards are 3 drops, but they come in for 2 if you have a multicolor energy in your energy, and they get reduced by 1. and Champa. Both of these cards get around Deflect, which is pretty amazing. So these cards activate on counter window 2, which means when you play it, the counter play is playing this card. Then the auto triggers in after that, after the card's already been played. So the card gets whatever effects that it has. So for Champa, when you play Champa, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, put it in rest mode, and then draw a card. So this card is amazing because it hits almost everything. Literally, there's no card in the game. I think it hits outside of Fu. It doesn't hit Fu, the 10-drop Fu, but it hits every other card in the entire game. So if they play a card, you play this, tap the card, draw a card, and now your opponent's kind of stuck. You know, they just wasted 2 energy for that. Vegeta comes in the same way for 2 energy. And then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 4 or less, KO it, and then your opponent warps the card from their hand. So these is your 2 different ways of counterplaying. You generally want to play these depending on how your opponent's turn 2 is. You end up playing these. Certain decks, you're not going to want to play Vegeta because it doesn't work, i.e. Dark Broly. But this card then can just put that card in rest mode. So these are your cards. And then they're 3 drops, and they're also 15k battle cards as well, so we can use them for attacking. This card here makes the deck tick. This is your Cell the Dark Parasite. This card's crazy. I bought this card for like $1, and then it went up to like $10 now, I think, which is hilarious. But this card is absolutely needed in this deck. So this is one of your targets for discard fodder. When this card's in the drop area, you can warp this card from the drop area to draw a card and then add a card from your life to your hand. So it has some self-awakening in there as well. Also, as an activate main, after turn 4, you can play this card for free by choosing all of your tokens and battle cards and putting them in the drop area. So it just says all, there's no actual requirement. So if you have 1 battle card, you can activate main to play this card out for 0 energy. So then you get a 30k swing off of that. We'll be coming back to this card here, but this is a must at 4. You need to run this. If you're running Cell Surge, you run 4 of that card. So we have some techie cards here. So I have 2 of the Chi-Chi Melee Matriarch. This is a barrier 1-drop cantrip that has the ability, if your opponent activates if they activate a counter skill and they restand energy, they warp a card from their life and their energy. It's mainly here because it's a cantrip. It's also a barrier card because we want to have cards on board that can't be removed, and it's yellow, so it's just a nice card to have because you get to play it, draw a card, kind of filter a little bit, and I have a body on board for effects later on in the game. So for the one-ofs, I have 1 Draw Ape because I only own 1. This would be a deck where you would run 4 of these in. Because I don't have more of these, I'm just running some extra tech cards. So when you're at 3 life, this Gohan here becomes a 2-drop. It is a 25k double strike deflect, unique. When it comes into play, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, or KO it, or choose the unison and remove a marker from it. So later on in the game, you can end up playing this card out for 2 energy, and then swinging, and then having a big body on board that your opponent has to remove. So it can be kind of annoying. Then we run 1 Zarbon Cosmic Elite. This is a card I'd probably run 2 of if I had the other one. You can pitch 1 green card from your hand to play this card out from your drop area. And then if your opponent KO'd, when this card's KO'd or removed by a skill, your opponent has more than 5 cards, they pitch a card from their hand. So it has some hand control aspects in there. But I would probably take this out to run 2 of these. And then we'd probably end up running 4 of those. So that way we had 4 of these, and then 4 of the Xenocell. Xenocell, but Dark Cell, whatever it's called. So now we get to the bulk of the deck, which is going to be the Slug Engine. So we run 4 of the 1-drops here. 1-drop comes in and draws a card. Then you can tap opponent's battle card with 1 energy, or swap into any Lord Slug 3 or less from your hand. So we have tons of targets. First one's going to be 3-drop Barrier Slug. When this card's in rest mode, you have Bond 2. Opponent can't draw cards off of skills other than their leader. So it's Bond 2, so it has to have 2 cards in the battle area, so that card counts as 1. And this is another one that you can do as well, just because it has barrier. Like I said, hard to remove. You can keep it on board and use it for Bond 2 for the Slug. Run 1 Angile. It's 15k crit. unique. Bond 2, when this card swings, your opponent has 4 in the 4 cards in rest mode. 4 cards or 5? 4. Your opponent chooses 2 of their cards they can't restand next turn. So that's pretty useful. It's a later end card. You want to play it off of this later on in the game. Once you have a bunch of stuff tapped. 2 of the 1-drop wings. This is a card you can play off either this Lord Slug. You can pitch this card from your hand to play a 1-drop slug. So you can either play this or this. And then this makes these 2 cost 2 energy instead of 3. So this card reduces the cost of these, so then I can start hard casting these cards for 2 instead of 3. And he has barrier as well. So you have these 2 on board here. You already have Bond 2, and you have 2 barrier 1-drops that your opponent can't remove. Most decks can't remove, I should say. 2 Lord Slug, Agents of Destruction. He comes in, your opponent pitches a card. He's a 20k. Again, Lord Slug, he's a 3-drop, so he can come in on top of this. And this guy reduces him as well. Then for 1 green energy, you can choose a Lord Slug 3k with energy cost 3 or less from your hand and play it. So essentially, you can play this, draw a card, use this to go into this, make your opponent drop a card, then tap a green and play this guy from your hand. And then this guy can swing, and now you have Bond, whatever. So it's a very interesting concept. You also can do with the ANG lay as well. So it's just a ton of Lord Slug stuff that you can play around, and just gives you a lot of different versatility stuff, especially because no one's going to be expecting this in the deck until you start playing out these cards. They're going to expect this stuff here, but they're not going to expect the wings. One thing that's very interesting is if you're playing against a green deck, let's say you use this ability to search your deck for a 1-drop and play it. So you activate this ability, your opponent has Demigirl on board. They play Frieza in response, and then you just play this, or they try to counterplay or do something, and then you just play the wings. And if they can't go through barrier, then they just wasted a card. So very, very, very interesting way of playing. Then 2 of the 6-drop Lord Slugs, the successor, Youth Regained. So this is a very cool card. I wanted to make a deck with this because I feel like this card actually is going to have some very good value as the game goes on, because the more 3-drops and 6-drops we have for yellow and green, the stronger this card's going to get. So it is a 25k double strike successor. Comes in for 1 green energy and successor, which means you have to have cards yellow or green that total up to 6. Bond 3, when this card attacks, if your leader's green, you choose one. Either your opponent, choose a card in your opponent's hand and discard it, or choose a card in rest mode and KO it. And this is a Bond 3, so which is why we run the Barrier Girls, Barrier Girl, and then Wings, whatever. So this gives this Bond 3, and we have a ton of 3-drops. So as you can see, and we got this guy, and him, and him. So let's get back to this here. So these are all of the different targets for the Lord Slug. So you have you can quite possibly do any combination of these, and you're going to be able to bring out the Lord Slug. If you had another Lord Slug, I'd probably run a 3rd one. You can get this off by turn 2, or by turn 3, I should say. You combo with this guy, take a life, restand a green energy, play one of these, because you'll have a multicolor. Then on your turn, you can swing with both of these at maybe a unison or something, or if you know for sure your opponent's leader can't kill these, then you can successor into this, and then swing. Now you have a 25k double strike on board, and with the potential of having Bond, being able to rip a card from your opponent's hand and swing a double strike, or swing double strike and then KO a battle card. So very, very powerful card. I think more, you also can use it with the 6-drop Broly if you're running a rival. So you can arrival out for 2, use the Broly, KO something that's big, and then successor for this into 1, and now you have a 25. Now you have a 25k double strike on board. So it's also something that you can do as well. 2 Nimbus. It's only negate we run. We're a very heavy battle card deck, and I don't think more than 2 is needed because your effect here, being able to keep everything in rest mode, is basically kind of like a negate as well. It's almost like the same thing as flying Nimbus, because everything your opponent plays is going to be in rest mode. So unless your opponent has a ton of battle cards on board already, or they play a bunch of stuff on your turn, this is going to stop them from attacking. So we are charging nothing but yellow. So we're going to be playing the Krillin Super Combo. So multicolor cards that have yellow in them count as yellow. So as long as your energy is all yellow, when you combo with this 4 or less, you get the bottom deck of card and then draw 2. Surge leaders need draw power. So for most surge leaders, you should not run. I don't think Arrival is really good for a lot of surge leaders. It's okay, but having the ability to draw more is just much more fascinating. So being able to use one of these to bottom deck a dead card and then draw 2, super powerful. 4 of those. 1 Overwhelm with 2 Champas. This card obviously doesn't need this. This is more so for my Angile or my Lord Slug or even my leader. But it's always good that this is the Overwhelm I picked for the deck because it's free, double strike crit, since we're gonna be ripping cards from our opponent's hand, and not swinging a lot. They shouldn't have a ton of cards in hand, so being able to swing for something where they either have to waste cards or then they don't get any resources, and then obviously Champas because they are great. So now we're gonna go back and I'm gonna grab the super important card here. So this card here, like I said, is the linchpin of the deck. So comes in, this is a 9-drop. If this card is removed by a skill, we can play this guy for free. So this is Cell Revolting Regenerator. This card was a promo in set 10. Did not get any love. It was a $10 card at once, and then it dropped down to under $1. And this card, if you are going to end up playing Successor in some form with androids, this card is needed. And you'll see a lot of this card in the coming decks in the next 2 sets from me. So this card comes in when one of your androids 7 or more gets removed by a skill, by an opponent's skill. And I think that's it. Yeah, when it's removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, play this card from your hand. You can't play this for the turn. Now I'm throwing cards. All right. So when this card comes into play, you get the KO something 5 or less. So let's say you play this. You swing, somehow they kill this card. You can then play this and then KO something, and now you have another 9-drop on board that you can swing now for 25k. But the important part about these being 9-drops are the successor targets. So the first successor target is going to be Super 17 Hellstorm Unleashed. People forgot how good this card is, and I think with the coming set, people are going to realize how good this card is, and this card is going to go back up in price. This card sat about $10 for a while, and then once Successor sort of fell out of the meta, it went down to like $2. So this card comes in for 3 energy, Successor of 9. When this card hits the board, your opponent chooses 4 cards in their life, or cards in their life until they have 4 life left, and then put those cards in the drop area. So essentially, if you don't swing at your opponent's leader and you play this card, and they have 8 health, this card will burn them down to 4 energy, or 4 health. I'm sorry. So this card crits them for 4 damage, basically, instantly on play. That's extremely good. Also, being a 9-drop gets around good old Frieza, so you have to deal with Frieza. When this card hits the board, it is a 30k crit. When this card swings, you get to draw a card and then choose one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. So I don't have it in this deck currently because I have it in my another deck that I'm testing for some regional action. But Bergamo is a very interesting card that you can use. So you can use Bergamo on the Super 17 because this card taps a card and you can use this to tap more cards. So it's kind of a cool little effect. Just being a 30k crit, you can give him double strike as well. But being able to play it on top of one of these, either one, for free, is absolutely nuts. And then when this card gets removed, you get to play one of these out from your hand. So you have this huge chain of 9-drop that you can use to basically close out the game. And then the other one is going to be the Unthinkable Perfection cell. So this is a 9-drop again, successor for 9. This one is 4 energy, and he's a triple strike. Now when this card comes into play using successor, your opponent reveals their hand. You choose 3 battle cards from it, put them in the drop area, and then negate your opponent's leader skills for the turn. This card demolished the idea of surge leaders back in the past. Obviously no one really played successor back then, so it wasn't super ideal, but I think this card's going to be absolutely insane. So being able to rip 3 cards from your opponent's hand is great, but then also being able to negate your opponent's leader skills. So if you play against something like, let's say, Dark Broly, you play this card, which would probably be very easy to get this out because Dark Broly doesn't have any board removal on your turn. You can either go into this and then swing and then tap 4 and then play this guy on top of it. When this guy comes into play, you get to rip 3 cards, and then when you swing, your opponent can't activate their leader skill. So with Dark Broly, he can't activate his plus, his popping 0 cost cards or 0 combo cards to gain 5k. So you can basically essentially shut them down from being able to combo at all, which is extremely powerful. You can stop Mecha Frieza from being able to activate other abilities. I think this also shuts down like Hachiak's ability as well. So you can play this, rip cards from your opponent's hand, and then swing. And because this negates skills, it will negate these skills because they haven't happened yet. So then you can negate Hachiak's skills as well. But like I said, any of the leaders works on any single leader. So that's a very, very powerful card here. So this is our game ender here. For secret rares, you can run any of them that you have. Xenocell or Supreme Kai are probably the best 2 for the deck. Yeah, the idea of the deck is to just kind of play defense, play out your Champas and Vegetas, and do your Lord Slug stuff until maybe turn 4. You want to plot this down on turn 4, being able to awaken, and then swinging with this to be able to draw more cards, tap stuff, and then you basically just use this to cycle until you can get this guy out to win the game. So it's kind of the idea. But that's what I got for you guys today. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck itself. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.